Well, here we go. Build it. New home for the next generation. Installment number 4, the finale. And if you're like, when's this going to be over? Today's the day. In fact, Guthrie Gardner's going to preach in 2 weeks, and he asked me this week, hey, what do you want me to preach on? And I told him anything but a building or money. So in 2 weeks, if you're done with it, next week we'll not talk about build it so much, but 2 weeks from now, Guthrie's here, so you need to know that as well. But we're wrapping it up today, build it, a new home for the next generation. We are actually super excited about it, but I want to start this morning by rewinding back to Sunday, January 19th, 2025. So 6-7 weeks ago. We're in week 3 of a little series called All In. I'm preaching a message called Accept Your Assignment. I'm preaching straight from my heart. I'm preaching out of Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10. This is like a life verse in our house. This verse says, for we are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which He's prepared in advance for us to do. I was so excited about this particular Sunday. Every series, there's about 1 or 2 Sundays you're really doing the series for. Like there's one like, okay, that's for you, but this one's for me. Well, Sunday, January 19th, this one was for me. I'm super excited about preaching this thing. 9 o'clock is like, I love this verse. I can't wait to preach it again at 10:30. Unknown to me, same day at 11 a.m., Illinois basketball was set to tip off at Michigan State. The second service is happening. I'm super excited in the first few minutes. And before long, before I even get into the text, my phone is on my left thigh and it is vibrating nonstop. And I'm thinking, who's trying to get a hold of me? Anybody that knows my number knows I'm unavailable right now. And I was getting texts, and then I started to feel like, no, that's the phone call buzz. That's a whole, that's not like, that's like constant. And this thing began to, my mind started to go from like Ephesians 2:10 to like, is my house on fire? Amber, are the kids still here? Like, is my mom okay? Did she make it? I'm looking out and about in the seats. Is my mom here? I'm beginning to play games. I'm going like worst case scenario, like somebody's surely dead. And then at about 11:50 a.m., I move over to my iPad, which is synced up with my cell phone. And I see my brother-in-law text me while I'm trying to read Ephesians 2:10, and he said, these refs stink. And I knew at that moment, all those phone calls, all those text messages were about the Illinois basketball game. This is what I'm trying to say. In that moment, my phone absolutely caused me to lose some focus about what mattered most. I would just ask you, my phone's on silent this morning. What matters most in your life right now? What matters most in your life? And then the second question that I would ask you is what is pulling you from it? Like, what's keeping you from it? What's fighting you? What's creating you to come off of a wall or come off of some sort of priority in this season? Before we open up this text, I want you to know in your mind, what's the most important thing you're working on right now? What's the thing that matters more than anything else? And then what's the thing that say, hey, come here, come here, come here? What's trying to pull you off the wall? Nehemiah, as most of you know by now, was rebuilding the wall of Jerusalem. We started just a few weeks ago talking about this. In Nehemiah chapter 2, Nehemiah presents like, here's our problem, here's this purpose, here's this plan. In Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 18, he rallies the people of Jerusalem. They're all going to rebuild this wall around this purpose of bringing back security to Jerusalem, to bringing back safety, to bringing back respect to his community. And so he said, here's the purpose. He makes it really, really clear. And we talked about that 3 weeks ago. And then we talked about, well, here's our plan. Here's what our purpose is in this season. Then a couple weeks ago, we looked back into Nehemiah chapter 1. And Nehemiah led with, and for 4 months, just prayed. And I would just ask you, like, what matters so much in your life right now that for 4 months you would just commit to praying? And then last week, we talked about the idea that we're going to be facing opposition, and in the midst of opposition, you need to know, and Nehemiah made it really clear, you have to make this thing personal. Is when somebody else is talking about somebody else's kids, but when somebody else is talking about my kids, it's personal. And Nehemiah made sure the people of Jerusalem knew, hey, this thing is personal. You should fight for your families, for your brothers, for your sisters, for your kids, for your neighbors. You should make this thing personal. And then this morning, we're going to look at some of the opposition that Nehemiah faced. And everybody knows when you have some sort of purpose, there's often opposition on the other side. It's like Batman. He had to face and go through the Joker. Or maybe like you're thinking, well, I'm on the CHS basketball team. There's MHS, or you're on the volleyball team. There's whatever you're a part of at CHS, then there's MHS. Or maybe you're at EIU and you have that date circled on your schedule, Indiana State. What? Is you have purpose in your life, but there's some sort of opposition waiting on you. And Nehemiah is on this wall, and he's about to get this wall taken care of. And his opposition, and maybe, I don't know what your opposition is, but Nehemiah's opposition, or his opponents, or the people that were trying to get him to come down from the wall, were these guys named Sanballat. What a name. Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem. And these guys were outsiders, and they didn't want to see Jerusalem succeed. They didn't want to see that wall go up. And so they're going to be the opponent and the opposition to Nehemiah's purpose. And we're going to start today in Nehemiah chapter 6, verses 1 to 3. And I don't say this lightly. I do say this often, but I think I actually mean it this time. This has to be one of my top 2 or 3 favorite little passages in the Old Testament. And I don't even think I'm lying. I think I really, really mean that. Nehemiah chapter 6, verses 1 to 3. I'm going to read this in the New Living Translation this morning. Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem, the Arab, and the rest of our enemies found out that I had finished rebuilding the wall and that no gaps remained. Though we had not yet set up the doors and the gates. He's down to just the doors. Yet here his enemy saying, we still have time to distract him. And maybe the project, guys, don't raise your hand. I about baited you into doing something that wouldn't have made you look good. But you got any incomplete projects at home? He's down to just the doors. And here comes Sanballat, Geshem, Tobiah. They're going to begin to spread rumors about him. They already have. They're going to start coming up with all kinds of false reports about who he is and what they're doing. They're going to create and scheme to come up with some personal attacks. Even when he's there, it's almost done. And they're thinking, hey, we could still distract him. The project's still incomplete. Verse 2, so Sanballat and Geshem sent a message asking me to meet them at one of the villages. Maybe my favorite part of the story. So Sanballat and Geshem sent a message asking me to meet them at one of the villages in the plain of Ono. Nothing good ever happens at Ono. I mean, that's like an obvious, Ono was 25 miles northwest of Jerusalem. That's like Sullivan saying, hey, come here. No. Oh no. That's like saying, hey, this is not that far, but it's far enough to get you down from what you should be focused on. It's far enough to get you away from the purpose. It's 25 miles, just come here. And it's in the plane of oh no. Like, I want to ask you, like, do you have an oh no? I thought about this a little deeper this week. Oh no's a noun. What's the place? What's the person? What's the thing to say, hey, come here? You're working on that at home. Your oh no right now might mean a ring, ring while you're at the table. Oh no. Where is it in your life? It might not, the enemy might not be looking like a Duke Blue Devil, but it's somebody that's like, hey, come here. There's some sort of enemy wants to bait, stop, steal, distract from you getting done whatever it is that God's called you to. It is the plane of oh no. You need to know, and we're going to talk about it in a minute. What's oh no for you? And watch Nehemiah's response. And just really quickly, oh no, it's anything that pulls you away from your purpose. But I realized they were plotting to harm me. So I replied by sending this message to them. Top 3 in the Old Testament, not kidding, my favorite probably, at least today. It's on the wall in my office. This one matters to me. I don't want to impress you, but I have this one memorized. It's one verse. Nehemiah 6:3 says this. I am engaged in a great work, so I can't come. Why should I stop working to come and meet with you? In this moment, Nehemiah said, no, I got my purpose, I got my plans, I got my priorities in line. I'm not coming down to a critic. I just would ask you, like, what's your wall? What's the thing that you need to be today? Like, no, I'm engaged in a great work. Why would I come down to you? And why would the work stop so I can meet with you? I want to encourage you this morning. Whatever it is that you answered in your mind, oh, that's the most important thing. Stay on the wall. Stay on the wall. Your kids are coming through your house. Maybe it's your kids right now. They're coming through your house like an absolute fastball. You need to stay focused on it. You need to be dialed in. You need to stay on a wall. Here it is for me. Here's 2 things. I got 2 walls right now. I got a wall at home, and I got a wall at the house, and I got a wall at home church. These are my 2 walls. Every day on the regular, there's at about 4:30, 5 o'clock, I have 2 guys in my head and 2 little guys working on a wall, and probably both good, but one's more important than the other, and that's at home. But every day it's like, I got to grind. I got to do more. I got to do more. And then it's like at about 4:30, I got to go home. I got a bigger wall, a more important wall. Men, you need to know this. And wives, moms, women, ladies, you need to know this too, but I think you're probably a step ahead of us dudes in this department. Your house is wall number 1. If you got kids at home or if you're in a marriage, your house, your home, it's wall number 1. You know this little quote from Mother Teresa, but Mother Teresa says this. I put this on repeat when I don't have my priorities quite straight. It would be this. If you want to change the world, go home and love your family. If you want to make a major impact, if you got to know this wall matters. If you want to change the world, I know some guys in here like, I signed up to change the world, and then you had kids. Go love them. Part 2 for me in this season is what we're doing here at the church. In this particular season, this new addition in this building, it's a big deal. It's a big part of what we're doing. And as we've mentioned in the past few weeks, it's not so much about the building as it is the opportunity and the space it'll provide to build into lives of the next generation. And it's the wall we're working on right now. And I would just ask you again, like, what's your wall? Like, maybe you just had a baby. Maybe you just launched a business. Maybe you just got married. Maybe your wall is recovery from addiction. Maybe your wall is some ministry that you're a part of. Maybe your wall is discipleship. Maybe your wall is your health right now. Whatever it would be, like, you got to know, like, what's your wall? And just a couple things I'm stealing from Nehemiah, and just some of these principles from Nehemiah, if you're a note taker, would be the number one thing I know about Nehemiah in regard to staying on the wall is you need to make no apologies for prioritizing what matters most. You make no apologies for prioritizing what matters most. So it might mean, nope, I'm not going out with you on Friday night. Nope, I don't date dudes like you. I don't date gals like you. No apologies for prioritizing what matters most. I had a baby. I'm not going back to it. No apologies for what matters most. I'm not going to do that because that puts me in a gray area. That goes beyond the boundary. No apologies for prioritizing what matters most. 7 years ago here at the church, we were in the midst of transition. On one particular Sunday, I was so excited to get up and tell the church, which was then Salisbury Church, that, oh, hey, we are so excited. We're going to exist so the next generation knows Jesus. Those with no church affiliation, your neighbor, you tell them we're coming for them. We're here for them in a spiritual kind of way. And I told the church we were excited about a large percentage of the people that were there that morning were excited too. There were some of them like, oh, I'm not sure, this is a bit awkward, but we're coming for the next generation. That's why we're going to exist, and we're coming for those that are far from God. I was so wound up the next day. I don't know why, but there wasn't school the next day. I'm sitting with my two kids at the time at Subway. The day before, I just shared my heart. We're so excited. Here we go. A particular person comes up to me that was there the day before. Pretty critical. My kids would say pretty mean. Pretty intense. Pretty skeptical. Pretty clear. Yesterday was her last Sunday. I'm a little guy, so I had like a lot of stuff to say in that moment. And after she got done, I just said, I just know this. If one generation gets selfish, the next is going to get sacrificed. That was the last time I talked to her. In fact, I don't think I've been in a Subway since then either. I started going to Jersey Mike's and Jimmy John's. We got in the car. The kids cried. We went home. Mason said, Mom, you'll never know. You never guess what happened. I came in this week and said, hey, at home church, there's going to be a ministry value, and it's going to be this. There is nothing sacred about our strategy. We're going to hold really tight to why we exist. We're going to hold really tight to what we're called to do, but we're going to hold really extremely loose to how we do things. I just know, like for me, I know for the church, if we hold really, really tight to our preferences, we lose track of the people we're trying to reach. And for me that day, thanks to the Holy Spirit, I had never said that line before. This first time I'd said it was in Subway. I've said it 1,000 times since then. If one generation gets selfish, the next is going to get sacrificed. Every time I see EIU students, every time I see high school students, every time I see middle school students, every time I see new families checking in their kids at the check-in system, I say, no. We got to make sure the next generation knows Jesus. We're not going to let preferences stand in the way of what God's called us to. And I don't know what it is, what your most important priority is right now, but I just want to encourage you, I want to remind you, you need to fight for it. Henry Cloud, a counselor, has wrote several books. He says this, and I'm going to clean it up a little bit. He is a Christian, but he says some things in this original quote that were on the edge of Christian. I don't know if you... Anyhow, Henry Cloud says this: when I started my organization, no one told me that half of my energy would be spent actually building and leading it, and the other half, or even more, would be spent protecting and defending all of the things that other people wanted it to be. It takes a ferocious amount of spinal fortitude to not end up making a crappy mix of your vision and endless bits and scraps from others who didn't have the, parentheses, courage to start something themselves. I don't know what the thing is you're working on, but it's yours, and God's called you to it. And in regard to home church, this isn't even inspired by us. It's inspired by Jesus when he says in Luke 19:10, "For the Son of God came to seek and save those who are lost." I'm just with him. We got to make space for what matters most. What matters most in your life? You need to identify it, define it, call it out. Second thing you need to know is you need to define oh no. And you need to deny it. What is oh no in your life? You remember COVID? Anybody, well, maybe not. Maybe your boss is in here. But like anybody think about like quitting your job in 2020? Maybe you're like, oh, no, I did. In 2020, I had a few really key people that were in my corner and a part of our staff that opted out of ministry and jumped into different things that I really do believe God was calling them to. But they were tight friends of mine. And for me, it was a season of incredible discouragement, disappointment. And honestly, you ever like want to be tempted to follow your feelings? Well, in 2020, I did, and I was kind of thinking, maybe I don't want to do this either. And I was looking at, oh no. Finally, unsolicited, somebody actually reached out to me for a new opportunity of employment, and it was exactly what I needed. More money, more time off, more comfort, out of this place of leadership. And when I heard it, I thought, that is you. I know you don't mean this, but you're sounding like the enemy. That is no opportunity for me. That is absolutely an oh no, because I'm here. And in that moment, I needed that of like, oh, no, I would never do that because why would you even think I'm coming off the wall? Have I been wondering about coming? Yes, but I needed you to ask me for me to say, oh, no. Where is it in your life that you got to know? Oh, no, I can't do this. I'm not doing that. You got to deny the distractions. Here's some oh, no's in our life. Text past 10 p.m. Oh, no. Travel ball. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, I said it. Sorry, dads. Travel ball. Car payments. Oh, no. Skipping a Sabbath. Oh, no. Social media for our kids. Oh, no. iPhones for our kids. Oh, no. Mace, not yet. Phone calls at family dinner. Oh, no. This guy I follow online, Ryan Leake, says this: if it doesn't align, it doesn't get my time. You put no on repeat. People pleasers. Check this one out. Nehemiah 6:4, very next verse. 4 times they sent the same message, and each time I gave them the same reply. Nope. Define oh no. Thirdly, you need to know this. You need strength in the struggle. Anybody got big plans? You got big purpose? Oh, God's called me to. This is a really big deal right now. Oh, you just got a new baby. We just launched a new business. We just launched a new website. Let me be like negative Nancy here for a minute. It's not going to go according to your plan. I'm here to tell you from 2019 to 2022, you're looking at a guy that I would define 2019 to 2022 as disappointment. Not according to plan. If you're hanging out, now I learned this from somebody smarter than me. If you're hanging out in disappointment, you're likely to miss your appointment. Disappointment. You're not called to dwell in disappointment. You need some encouragement around you. Your heroes right now are getting punched in the face. If you dwell in disappointment, you're going to miss the appointment. Life's too short. Our calling, way too strong to just hang out. Well, this isn't the way I planned. Romans 8:28, you should check it out later if you need to know, if you're stuck in disappointment. I am so thankful that I've had a mentor in my life at the key, crucial times. Just slip in my little DM and in my text box and say, stay on the wall. In other times, in other seasons, same guy, slip into my text and say, do not miss the gift God has for, all caps, you in this. In other times, make no apologies for prioritizing people that are far from God. You need somebody like that in your corner. You need encouragement. You need strength in the struggle, that whatever it is you're facing, maybe you got a newborn, you're like, yeah, struggle. You need some encouragement in the midst of struggle. You need to find strength. I go back time and time again to the words of Paul when he says in 2 Corinthians 12:9, when I'm weak, he is strong. On the regular, I say, God, I'm not enough. And Jesus is like, I'm right here with you. But I am. You need to step into this scared. You can do this because in my weakness, he will be strong. You need to begin to think about, what are you thinking about? That's deep. Have you ever thought about what you're thinking about? 2 Corinthians 10:5, I've learned this the last couple years. You take every thought captive and you make it obedient to Christ. You need to find strength in the struggle. Paul says, in prison, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Nehemiah, do you know this? Nehemiah never prayed, God, make this situation go away. He prayed, God, give me strength. He endured false rumors, reports, personal attacks, and he responds with this, Nehemiah 6:9. They were all trying to frighten us, thinking their hands will get too weak for the work, and it will not be completed. But I prayed, now strengthen my hands. You need strength in the struggle. You need people. You need prayer. And lastly, you need to know this. We all need to know this. We need people on the wall with us. I'm going to talk real quick on behalf of Home Church. We need people on the wall with us. You know what you call a reluctant potato? A hesitator. Don't hesitate. We need you. Amber, I'm sorry. She said, don't. I did. We need people with us. I am so thankful. Like this home church does not exist without God and the faithfulness of His followers. I'm so thankful for, I don't know if you know, there's this dude named Mark Waters. He's on the welcome team. He's served on the welcome team for 18 years. He has been faithful with his time, Sunday after Sunday after Sunday. In fact, maybe today or next week, he's going to come up and ask me, any reason I shouldn't lock up? 18 years going. He's been dedicated. He's with us on the wall. I'm so thankful we got people that are lending their talents. Can you imagine if Janelle and this worship team did not lend their talents to lead worship? I led worship a few weeks back out under the awning and did a cappella. I left my mic on. It was not good. We need people's talent. We need Josh Norman upstairs relaying the gospel to your kids. We need your treasure. We need you with us on the wall. Do you know this? I've been told this, that there were 99 families or individuals that faithfully, consistently gave to home church last year. I don't know where we would be without you. Because of your faith, this place continues to exist and continues to be a ministry, not only locally, but globally. We need you with us on the wall, like your time, your talents, your treasures. Nehemiah had a whole slew of people with him on the wall. If you're wondering who, you could spend like the rest of the day in Nehemiah chapter 3. Nehemiah 4:6 says this. So we rebuilt the wall. All of it reached half its height, for the people worked with all their hearts. Romans 12:6-8 says this. In His grace, God has given us different gifts for doing certain things well. So if God has given you the ability to prophesy, speak out with as much faith as God has given you. If your gift is serving others, serve them well. If you are a teacher, teach well. If your gift is to encourage others, be encouraging. If it is giving, give generously. If God has given you leadership ability, take the responsibility seriously. And if you have a gift for showing kindness to others, do it gladly. I say that, I read that to say we need you with us on the wall. To paraphrase Nehemiah, 52 days later, project complete. I did a little deeper dive this week. Do you know this in regard to Jerusalem, the people of Jerusalem? Nobody died during this project. Everybody sacrificed. This week I was caught off guard when I saw multiple kids come in to put their pledges into an offering box. Not mine, yours. We asked our kids about it. They said they need to pray about it. What would it look like for you to be a part of this with us? I don't know if it's just continued prayer. I don't know if it's, I got some money that I can give toward this thing. I can step in and serve in this way. The wall around Jerusalem lasted for centuries. What we're doing here is going to impact eternity. We need you with us. We want you with us. I don't know what you're working on. I don't know what wall you're working on this morning. I don't know what challenges you're facing. I do want to remind you of this. If you've said yes to Jesus, you've already won. John 16:33, Jesus says, in this world you'll have trouble, but you can take heart because I've overcome the world. You got that hope beyond what you currently face. Romans 8:37 says, we are more than conquerors through Christ. Hebrews 10:10 says, you are holy and you are in a right relationship with God because of the ultimate sacrifice that Jesus made once and for all. I don't know if you need to be reminded of that this morning or if you need to embrace that and receive that this morning. But we win because of what Jesus has done for us. And maybe that's where you need to start today, is by simply receiving what Jesus has done for you. Let me pray for us. God, thank you so much for sending your one and only Son for us. Thank you so much for paying the penalty of our sin on the cross. I'm asking that you'd make a move in any non-follower in here this morning, that they would put their eyes on you, that they would receive salvation, that they would place their faith in you, that they're battling it out on their own. Would you remind them this morning that victory is in you? Would you remind us all of that hope that we have in you? And God, I'm asking for us as a church that we'd stay on the wall, That we'd keep reaching out. We'd make sure the next generation knows Jesus. That we'd make sure those with no affiliation could see who you are through us. God, whatever walls people are working on outside of this building today, I just ask that you bless their efforts, that you keep their eyes on you. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you so much for watching. We meet in person every Sunday at 9 and 10:30 a.m. and would love for you to join us. If you would like to get to know more about Home Church, we've linked our website in the description below. See you next time.